Welcome to another episode of Living with FASD. This is a human interest and educational show for those living with FASD and their families by someone with both professional and living experience with FASD. So fetal alcohol spectrum disorder, big topic, especially coming up with September being International FASD Awareness Month. And this week I am tickled pink to invite someone to talk with us, have a nice candid conversation. Someone that I met as part of my book project for Sip by Sip Candid Conversations with people diagnosed as adults with fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. So Nury, welcome to you. Can you introduce yourself to the audience, to our listeners and viewers?
Yeah. Yes. Hi, my name is Nury and I am from the Netherlands. And I have been self-advocating for a couple of years now. Of course, I can't remember how many years because that's my thing. I don't remember years. I'm since February. I am a member also of the ALC, International Adult Leadership Collaboration of FASD Changemakers. Wow, I hope I said that right.
You did.
It's a very
it's a
long
mouthful.
name. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm very happy to do that. Yeah, I do my best to talk about FASD in my life. I feel like I have overcome many things in my life, and there isn't much. No, I'm gonna say isn't much information about adults with FASD in the Netherlands. It's starting, but there isn't enough. So that is my main focus, what I do. Also because I'm an adult and I have the living experience, and of course when I tell people that I have FASD, and to the doctors, anybody I know, family, just anybody, people just they don't know what it is, and it's annoying. And I feel like I grew in advocacy also because in the beginning I was like, okay, it's about you have to tell mothers that they shouldn't drink during pregnancy, but I've learned so much that there isn't one mother on the planet that does it on purpose, and it's not a mother's problem. It's the problem of alcohol, and since if there's alcohol, there's going to be FASD. And also I know I grew a lot because I wrote a book in the Netherlands together with FES project about I have to translate it to
English. Then your book can go worldwide.
Yeah, I'm busy translating it, but I just had my second daughter, so that's on a pause because I can't do those things together at one time. And I was hoping I would had it done before FES Awareness Month, but no, I just couldn't. But it's about FESD and what's it called? Of course, I can. The desire to become a mother, because
that's our topic for today.
Yes, it is.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you warmed that up. We're ready to tee off now.
Yeah.
You set that up perfectly, Nury.
Yeah.
Can you, for our listeners and our viewers, can you briefly share your story? Right. We don't need the long version that you gave me for Sip by Sip, but just let everyone know what's your story, because like me, you figured it out as an adult, right?
Yeah. I was 31 at the time, I guess. Yeah, and well, I was adopted from Colombia, and I I'll try to make this short. I've had troubles all my life. When I heard about FASD for the first time, skipping forward, someone told me that people, children with FASD, because they don't talk about adults here, they talk about children with FASD. They don't have a conscience. So at the time, I guess I was like 28 years old, and I thought, okay, I can't have FASD because, and also there was a book, also by the FAS project, and it portrayed like the facial features. Mm-hmm. And I was looking at these children, I was like, okay, I don't look like these children. They talk about facial features a lot here.
Yeah, like the small eye openings. I have those. You definitely don't. You have the most gorgeous eyes. Oh my.
Well, thank you. I have the facial features, but you can't see it with the naked eye. I have them mildly. And gosh, where was I? I thought to myself, okay, I can't have FASD because because I do have a conscience. Mm-hmm. And I was raised very strict by my by the dysfunctional parents. They did the best at the time they could. So it's not for me to say that to blame them or anything, but I was paying a lot of attention to what I was doing everywhere. So I was always tiptoeing my way around, and I couldn't deal with that. So much stress. I knew I was different when I was little. I just didn't know what. Yeah. And I hear everybody say that with FASD, that they feel that they are different. They just don't know what it is. And I've been looking for it my whole life. Like, what is wrong with me? Because I'm not doing my best enough. People say that I'm lazy, that I'm always getting into trouble. I'm different than my sisters. All of those things, and make me feel very insecure. And I also experienced abuse, and that made me have an addiction when I started drinking when I was 11 or something. So like very, very young. And well, fast forward, I had experienced a lot of mistakes in my life, a lot of chaos and a lot of addiction. And then I got into the rehab when I was 28 or something. I know, much older. No, 28. And I met my I met my husband in the rehab, as they don't recommend it, but I did. And I noticed he was different also. And he has ADHD and autism. Like I heard you say the other time in your podcast, ADHD.
Oh, yeah. I stumbled across that. I think in Flying with Broken Wings is the first time I heard that or saw that. So ADHD. Yeah.
ADHD. Yeah. I thought about your podcast, and I noticed that we are very much alike. So that was the first time that I got thinking to myself, like, okay, because I love him, obviously. And I wasn't blaming him or myself anymore. I just wanted to find out, okay, what's really wrong with me? I want to know. And that's when I started searching for answers, and I started to get them. I was diagnosed with a lot of things before that, also autism, also ADHD, depression, just a lot of things. But when, I was in the rehab, my sister told me that she found my mother. And she told me that my mother probably had drank during the pregnancy. And I casually told it my therapist, and she was working at the same this word is wrong, institution, I don't know,
Yeah.
where diagnostic center.
Mhm.
And okay, and then I got my tests and my diagnosis. And at the time I had FASD because they didn't know for sure about my mother.
Mhm.
But now I know for sure that she drank because she admitted it to me, and it's also in my book. It was very shocking experience for me, because first she said no, and then she was honest.
Mhm.
Um, well, actually, what happened is that, okay, I asked her, Mother, did you drink when you were pregnant with me? No, 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 I didn't drink. No, no, I would never do that. And it was all in Spanish, of
Mhm.
course.
Mhm.
And my sister had to translate. And okay, and then I like everything like kind of went black before my eyes, and like, okay, my life is a lie, or you're not my mother. I thought to myself, and my sister, she was smart enough to ask more. Okay, did you really not drink? Did you drink beer? Did you drink wine? Whiskey? I don't
Yeah.
really know what she asked, but it was something
Or
like,
did you drink in the weeks before you found out you were pregnant?
no, that's not what she asked.
Right?
But she just drank like beer or wine.
Yeah.
And then my mother said, yes, beer. I drank beer, but that's not drinking,
That
because
doesn't
her
count.
that doesn't count, because
Yeah.
her doctor um told her that it's okay for her to drink beer or wine, just not the heavy booze, no
Right.
whiskey,
Right.
because she
Nothing
was under
hard.
a lot of stress.
Mhm.
And he wanted her to stay away from the drugs. That was his goal.
Yeah.
So he told her, you can sometimes drink beer or wine just to get relaxed.
Mhm.
So that's what he did. And I believe her. I really do believe her, that she didn't know it was a problem.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just like I don't think I know had my mother known, she wouldn't have been drinking either.
Yeah.
But back in the 60s, nobody knew.
No.
So,
And they
and
still
she,
don't know. They still
yeah,
don't. Because
yeah.
I'm now a mother, and I'm on Facebook mother groups,
Mhm.
and so many times the question comes up like, oh, can I drink um before, or when do you stop drinking? Oh, I drank last night, it wasn't much, what should I do? Or that people are mothers are pumping and then breastfeeding, no, pumping and then giving the bottle to their, pumping and dumping,
Yeah.
I think it's the term.
Yeah.
And yeah, and sometimes I just want to react and like, oh, please don't, please, but
Yeah.
I can't do that all the time. But sometimes I try to advocate and tell them what's going on. But there are
Yeah.
so many reactions to that. Oh, come on,
Yeah.
you don't know. And my mother did it, I don't have FASD, or my sister or my friend or that one, and
They
I'm
want to
fine.
stay in
My
denial.
children are
Yeah.
fine. I drank during pregnancy and they're fine.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So
it's
one of the things you highlighted in our conversation for Sip by Sip was the stigma that you faced when you would go to these motherhood groups, you know, wanting to know how to navigate having FASD and being a mother.
yeah,
So, you know, and you got a lot of pushback then.
yeah,
Can you tell us about that?
yeah. When I was I've had a lot of therapy, and I was really afraid to become a mother, because of all the things I had experienced, in my home, because of FASD. I didn't know much about it. I even thought that I could give it to my child, even though I wasn't, just like autism, you can, like, it's in your genes. So I thought to myself, okay, I have to ask others um what their experience is, and me not knowing that people don't talk about it. or only in a very negative way. I didn't know it back then. It was also kind of like the period where I was just coming out. So I asked on a forum what their experience was, and I just got really people were very angry at me that I even had the idea that I wanted to have children. They thought I was egoist. I'm sorry, the word
I think,
selfish.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's the word you used in Sip by
yeah.
Sip. Yeah.
Yes, I was selfish and I was making mistakes. And the thing that they said that was most hurtful to me is that people with FASD and other, they thought it was a disability, like I have a low IQ, they should be sterilized.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I was so shocked when they told, and there wasn't one good reaction to my ex, to not one loving, a reaction,
Not
and
one supportive comment.
not one supportive comment. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I got really scared. I go to my husband, and I tell him what's happening, and fortunately he really believes in me, and he supported me all the way through. And I knew I have to go to therapy first because I was dealing with PTSD at the time also. And when I got out of that therapy, I was declared PTSD free. I'm now declared PTSD free, so I'm very proud of that.
Good
Of
job on
course,
all that hard work.
yeah, yeah. And then I thought, okay, I'm going to do this. Because I'm in a loving relationship with my husband, and it was the time. I never thought about having children before because of all the things that I experienced, but it just changed, and I'm very happy. And now we have two
Yeah.
beautiful daughters.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one
Congratulations
is
on that.
5 weeks old. Yeah.
Yeah. It feels good to be able to tell you face to face and not just type it into Facebook. But congratulations on the
Thank
birth of
you.
your second wee one.
Thank you.
So, several years later, because how old is your older daughter now?
She's now 2.
2. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're 3 years down the line at least from when you had that initial experience with the forum. What has your parenting journey been like?
Well, it's surprisingly well, what surprised me the most about it, I guess, is that um I was very afraid to because of what I experienced in my dysfunctional family. Um I wasn't told that, like my parents loved me, or they weren't supportive, or all of those things that we need to grow up to be um good people.
Secure.
I missed all of that,
Yeah.
unfortunately. So I was very afraid that I could not give that to my daughter. But it went surprisingly very easy. um and that's because of all the I think the therapy I've had, but also of the groups, the supportive groups I went to.
You hit mute, Nury.
Yeah.
Oh, there you are. Somehow
Oh,
your mic got cut for a minute.
all right. Okay, I'm back now.
Yeah, you're back.
Okay, that's nice. I was telling that I can relate to my child very much, because I experience sometimes very big emotions. I sometimes don't understand the world. Sometimes things are going too fast. I need more explanation. Um, I just want to play. All of those things. I need support. I need love. Sometimes I think more than other people, because I'm so insecure. of not, I know I'm different, and sometimes I just get really insecure, and then I need the support. So I know what it's like. And when we grow up, and especially when we are little, we don't express our feelings. Also, I don't express my feelings also always in a very like it should be. Sometimes I get really angry. Sometimes I get really sad about something that's really small. Sometimes I just need to be left. Just leave me alone. I just have to process this for myself, and don't talk to me, or everything you're saying right now, it's not helping. It's only making me more upset. I just have to release what I feel, in a safe place.
Yeah.
And that's what I didn't have when I was growing up. But now I have a daughter, and I get to experience what she can do, and how I can react to that. And of course, it's not something that I figured out by myself, because I go to attachment parenting groups, because I
That's
think that is
excellent.
very, because I don't know, of course I don't know the English, attachment. I have the attachment disorder when I was small, because I was adopted. And
I think it's both, right? It's the
Yeah.
adoption, yes, but it's also having dysfunctional adoptive parents,
yeah,
right?
and it has
They
nothing to do with FASD, by the way, because
right.
sometimes people they mess up. FASD is also attachment disorder. It's not the same.
Yeah.
No. And
Yeah.
people in the Netherlands sometimes think it's the same. So but I wanted to go to these groups because I wanted to know everything there is to know about attachment. How do you do that in a healthy way?
Yeah.
And I'm very happy that I did that, because I'm learning so much about myself. I'm going to these groups, and it's like therapy for me. So that's the thing I like most about parenting, is that I get to do it over kind of a little bit with myself. I really like that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. I know, what would you say has been your biggest challenge? Right? Like when you talk with mothers who are not living with FASD, are your challenges very much different than theirs are? Or, how are they similar and how are they different?
Well, I thought about that question, and I think that's difficult because, well, first of all, um, of course, FASD affects me still, uh, but not as much. Yeah, I don't work. I don't go. I don't have a job. I had to choose between being a mother or having a career, or going to school again, or having a social life, or having a big hobby I can spend my time, or all of these things. And I chose to be a mother. um I don't I don't know what it's like for other mothers that don't have FASD, but I think they sometimes can do more things at a time. Like, of course they have to, um like they have to go to work or something, they have their social life. I have to do one thing at a time. And for me, like right now, I'm experiencing it the most. Like where we were talking about, I haven't done so much for FASD advocacy for such a long time. Is I don't have the space in my head. I just have to focus on being a mother, and I everything else, it's just not interesting, or I choose not to focus on that, because I can go in hyper focus. That's kind of my learning style. And I have to be careful that if I do two things at a time, and it's not, I have to be there for my kids. So I just shut everything off. And in the beginning I felt very guilty that I was doing it, or weak, like that's weak of me to do that. I'm isolating. People sometimes say that I'm isolating, you should go to your friends more, or whatever, I just choose not to, and I'm happy. I'm really, really happy doing it like this.
Yeah.
Of course I see family and that kind of stuff, but it's not that I'm totally isolated or something, and I do something for myself. I also have my husband, this is the family life I'm living in my little bubble, and it really makes me really happy. I don't know if that answers your question.
I don't think that it's a question of whether or not you're doing things the way you should, because you know yourself, you know your strengths, you know your challenges. And one of them, if I'm hearing you correctly, is that you pour yourself 1,000% into whatever it is you're focused on.
Yeah,
and
I do it with all of these.
Yeah. So out of respect to your role of mother and wife, you're not letting yourself sabotage yourself by pouring yourself into too many things. And so I think that's fantastic. So
I like the way you say that. Like, I'm not sabotaging myself. No, I'm going to remember that, hopefully.
Yeah, you're honoring yourself, right?
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that everybody needs to do, but especially those of us living with a brain-based condition, is to come to understand what are our unique challenges and needs, right? As well as our unique strengths, and find ways of working those pieces together in a way that honors who we are and what our capacity is, what our capabilities are, and where we need the external supports.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're doing it, girl. You are doing it. Yeah. So I guess I had, in asking the question that I had, I kind of was wondering if you had found your concerns over how do I do this motherhood thing to be the same kind of universal mom concerns, or did you find that they were just a little bit different because of the FASD?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is that I was afraid in the beginning that people were coming to my house or like checking me, like they know I have FASD, and I was afraid, like in the beginning, and even before I started, there was also a question why I wanted to find out what FASD and parenting is like. I was afraid they were going to take my children away from me. I don't have that fear anymore.
Yay!
No, but I really had the fear in the beginning because it's happening. It's not some silly thing. I'm just saying it is happening. Since I'm doing the advocacy thing in the Netherlands, and people know about me, I've had some mothers come to me and ask how I do as a mother, and then they tell me their story, and that their children are in danger of being taken from them because they don't know what FASD is, and they think they are sabotaging, like what you're saying, and they're not good at therapy, and they mess up, and they have a lot of problems, and they don't understand what they're being told, how they should behave, and all of that, and by people that don't even understand what FASD is.
Yeah.
So they have to advocate for themselves. They don't know how. I mean, just like me, they have to do two things at a time. They just want to be a mother, a parent, and then they have to fight at the same time. Of course, they are dealing with a lot of stress, and they're not getting support from they should have, and they're just scared. And
and I think when we first talked about this in Sip by Sip, I had, like, the day before we sat down together, read a post in one of the FASD circles that, I mean, a woman was absolutely terrified that just because she had FASD, CPS or Child Protective Services was going to come knocking. And, you know, and you said, yeah, posts like that come up all the time.
Yeah.
So I think that's really unfortunate. It's part of, and I think it's going to continue happening until we can really spread the word among professionals of all stripes, right? Therapists, teachers, social workers, even doctors, right? You know, to
Yeah.
get FASD more widely known, not just, you know, what the letters stand for, but to really, for people to really understand what this brain-based condition really is about, you know, like, and
Yeah.
I don't like using the word disorder because that pathologizes it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And that's why I wrote the book also, because I wanted to let people know that what's going on in my head. It's kind of it's like a diary. It is. And I just tell people like by a story, a little story that I had, just little stories what living with FASD is like, and
yeah.
you know, transforming into just a woman, a girl, like a woman into a mother, with PTSD and depression, because I had all of that at the same time. And what do I want to say? During writing the book, while I was writing the book, I thought about quitting, because I was so afraid people are going to read about me, about FASD. They are going to know that I have fears, that I have PTSD, depression, that I can get very angry sometimes, that I have difficulty regulating my emotions. Oh my God, I have to stop what I'm doing, because they're going to take my daughter away when she's here. So, but yeah, the people that I was writing the book with, the FES project, they helped me, and my husband helped me, and I'm, you know, I'm always very honest, so I can't lie.
Yeah.
Of course I can, you know, I can make up little, you know, it's not that, but I want to be honest like all the time, and that's how I write. It was very, oh my God, challenging for me to write that book, but I did it, and I'm very happy about the result. So I'm really hoping I can translate it
Yeah.
as soon as I can.
And
Take
how
it.
many years has the book been on the market?
Oh my God, that's a difficult question. Um, I guess some like 3 years or something. I started writing when I was pregnant. Like 30 weeks or so, I started writing, and it
So
came
if
out or so. Yeah.
so until you get it translated, if people in the viewership or listenership to you know, living with FASD speak Dutch, how would they get your book?
Uh,
Can you send me
well,
a link to put in the show notes that people can order your book if they happen to understand Dutch?
yeah, sure. I can do that. Yeah.
Okay.
And when I'm going to translate, I hope I'm getting it on Amazon. That would be nice. But you know, my husband, he's like really smart. He can figure out all of those things. You know,
Yeah.
I have translating stuff, and I
Yeah.
have help with that, of course. But yeah,
I can't wait to read it when you do
yeah,
get it translated. So, you know, a lot of us with FASD, we need our partners, right? We need, you know, whether it's husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, you know, whatever. We need our partners occasionally to be our external brain, right? To help us through some of our pitfalls, some of our quirks and foibles. How, you know, for some tasks, we just need help, and there's no shame in that. It's just the way we're wired. How has your husband stepped up to support you or partner with you in your parenting? Is there anything that he's doing for you to help with the parenting that you wouldn't expect, any other spouse to do? Is there anything that he does above and beyond that makes it work for you guys?
Well, it's funny because you say expect. I didn't expect. I expect a lot, actually from husbands, fathers. I think it's very normal that when you have children, you both do like the same
Mm-hmm.
amount of work. And
Yeah.
of course, my husband, he works, he has a job, but he is also the best dad I could ever imagine.
That's
Um,
awesome.
like he's like the same. He was also very into the attachment parenting thing, and he's very open to that. And
Okay.
um, so that helps a lot. And we're kind of the same. He doesn't have FASD. He has autism, but
Mhm.
he's like really like learning the stuff that he needs to learn to become a father. And he has his insecurities also.
Mhm.
And just seeing him being a good father is like very, for me, supportive, because I feel like I don't have to um I can do my thing and he does his,
Yeah. Yeah.
and also like the thing with my FASD, I think I have the most problem are in my body, like physical things.
Okay.
I have a fibromyalgia, I have weak knees, and I'm not that very strong. I really have to work out.
Mhm.
If not, I feel very weak. Um, I haven't worked out for like 3 years. I sometimes I feel like pregnant for 3 years. Of course, that's not true, but
Yeah.
after the pregnancy, you have to recover, and my body is not the same for
Yeah.
like 3 years or maybe longer. And he helps me with the physical stuff. He helps
Mhm.
me doing the stuff in the house, like vacuuming and all of. I also have a cleaner that comes here, but yeah, he helps me a lot with the support, I guess. And yeah, he's just very supportive, and he's very good at reminding me that I have to follow my intuition.
Mhm.
um
Mhm.
because um I can't read books like he does. I can read. It's not that I'm dyslexic or something. It's just I don't have to focus when I'm
Mhm.
reading a, a
Mhm.
a line. It's just I have to read that line like 10 times before I understand what's happening, and I don't remember.
Mhm.
I have to memorize. So he does that. He does the information part, and I do my intuition. And he just kind of navigates me into, okay, you should follow what your heart is saying. You should follow what you feel like you should be doing right now.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
he just keeps reminding me, like, believe in yourself, Nuri, because you're a good mother. You're a good
Yeah.
mother. And every
Yeah.
time I feel very insecure, he's there to
Yeah.
support me. And
Yeah. Yeah.
that's kind of all of the things he does. Not that we have strategies or something. I wouldn't say I have strategies I use for my FSD, but yeah, of course, the planning and kind of I tried to do that, but I follow my intuition.
Mhm.
That's how I
Mhm.
um that's my learning style, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah. Okay.
Hyper focus and following my intuition, and
Mhm.
taking lots of rest. And he reminds me all the time, because I can be very busy. I want to do everything perfect. I want the house clean. I want 1,000 things doing on one day. He reminds me, okay, you should just relax. And I've learned so much from him.
Yeah.
Um, and he's very good at relaxing. He has hobbies. When I met him, he had 1,000 hobbies. And I was like, how can you do a hobby? Don't you have to work? Don't you have to survive?
Yeah.
Uh, you know. But I've learned so much from him, and
Mhm.
yeah, he's the best. Yeah.
Yeah. you sound very blessed to be with
Yeah,
each other, right?
yeah, we are.
Okay. So let's talk about this from like that 30,000 feet perspective, right? Not deep in the weeds, right? With
I
most,
don't really know what that means, but I'll
so
try.
you know, it's kind of, there's a phrase, I don't know if it sometimes it can be problematic to use phrases, right? Like not seeing the forest for the trees. You're so in it that you don't see the big picture, right?
Yeah,
That the 30,000 feet perspective is that big picture. Like you're looking down from like where a plane is, you see it all, right? Versus you only see that little microcosm that you're in.
yeah,
So with most people living with FASD, most of us are not diagnosed yet, right?
no,
With 1 in 20 people being impacted to one extent or another by prenatal exposure to alcohol, I mean, that's a whole lot of people. I don't know what the stats are in the Netherlands. Here in the States, you know, just like taking 5% factor of like our 2022 estimated census, that's 16.6 plus million people, adults with FASD. I was reading last night because I was double checking all the references for the book for Sip by Sip, and there was a reference from Popova and I can't remember the other two researchers that wrote this particular paper, but they said we need to be grateful for those 99.9% of people with FAS who are undiagnosed, right? So it's not even that 1% of us get a diagnosis, it's 0.1%. That's minuscule. So I think all the fear that you had a few years ago and other people continue to have, as we see in the posts on socials about, you know, Child Protective Services is going to come take our kid because we have FASD, therefore we can't possibly be good mothers in their eyes, you know, or the people that would challenge you and give you a hard time and call you selfish. They just don't realize that if 1 in 20 people have FASD, you know, you could easily say that's 1 in 20 mothers who
yeah.
have FASD and don't know it. Most of them don't know it.
Or they do
And
know and they don't want to tell it, like I
and
did in the beginning.
yeah, and
Yeah,
yet they're parenting and they're doing a good job, right? So,
yeah.
you know, do you have any thoughts about that? You know, that
Well, it's kind of mind blowing. I don't have any numbers from the Netherlands because again, I'm dyslexic, but then with numbers, I don't know how do you call it, um, but we're undiagnosed. It's very undiagnosed here. Also, it's very difficult to get a diagnosis.
mhm,
Also, because people still are talking about the facial features, and
yeah.
it's very difficult. There's a waiting list, and they have to travel a lot. We are a different tiny country, but people have to travel, and they have difficulty doing that by themselves. And we have only 3 diagnostic centers, and it's very
Mhm,
difficult to get there. And of course, when you're an adult, it's very it in some diagnostic. I'm not sure, but I've heard that when you're an adult, you can't get a diagnosis anymore here in the Netherlands. It's very difficult.
yeah.
Um, I'm kind of was forgetting what I was going to say, but yeah, for me, it's just to think about all of the mothers that are undiagnosed and still doing a great job. I'm
Mhm,
just thinking like they have so sometimes you see like these mom hacks, on TikTok or these kind of things, or mothers becoming the best versions of themselves to navigate through life. I'm sometimes thinking like, is that because you have trouble, I my experience that people with FASD are very creative, resourceful people. They come up with these great ideas to live their life.
Mm.
And sometimes I'm thinking like, okay, how did you find out this mom hack, this organizing hack, or this organizing skill that you now have? Is that because you maybe are somewhere on the spectrum, and not talking about FASD only, but also autism? I think we live in a very chaotic world, and we have to organize, of course, when you're a mother, and I'm just thinking that I think we're very good at it. I don't know. I don't know what that's what I want to say, but I just think not only with the mothering thing, there are so many undiagnosed people with FASD, and I think we are very skilled, trained at surviving. We had to survive. We had to come up with kind of skills and for our difficulties. And we are really like persuasive people. We don't give up until we like found a way to cope with something or to learn something. And some people are never going to learn that they have FASD because they don't have any like problems. They exist. This just like the normal problems everybody would have. It's like and why I say that is that it's FASD and adults and adults. I can imagine that you kind of grow out of it. Not for I'm always going to have problems, with some things. But if I hadn't know now, if I had FASD by now, I probably would never found out, because I don't like see myself like, okay, I don't need a diagnosis to live. I'm living now. I'm not surviving anymore. I'm living my life. I feel like that was really chaotic, that all the things that I had to say, but that's because it's a very difficult question.
And
it's
well,
very,
certainly multifaceted, right? And I think what I was wanting to do with, by asking that, is just find a basis for hope, right? That that people need not panic, that people can reassure themselves, if I want to be a parent, then this does not need to stand in my way, right?
No.
And and I think you're right in terms of, some people, it might seem as though they grow out of it, but I think really what that is they have found their workarounds, right? They have figured out what they need to do to get around their stuck spots, their challenges. And it's not growing out of it, but it's getting that life hack that works for them. Which is really all any of us can do when we have a brain-based condition, is figure out all those hacks, right? Those workarounds, those accommodations. And with all that support in place, we can shoot for the stars and get there if we have the right supports in place. So we can still dream, and those dreams can be huge, or they can be as universal as the dream of being a parent. And
of course, a lot of mothers also need lots of help, and that's also, it's a spectrum. And I'm focusing on the mothers that don't even know that they have it, because why should they think about it, it's
Yeah.
not, you don't see it on their faces. It's just, it's so wide. FASD is so wide, and yeah.
I think, for me, it's like, you don't wear glasses at all, do you?
I do actually. I forget
Okay.
to put them on all the time.
Okay. So,
That's why I go to the screen, because like this I have to,
so when, okay, so you've had the experience of needing new prescriptions in your glasses, right?
yeah.
It's kind of like that. It's not that getting a diagnosis changes anything for us, right? We can live without the diagnosis, but it's like getting the right prescription in our glasses. We see ourselves and our struggles in life with more clarity. Things make sense to us in a way that they did not before. And that that is priceless, because that allows us to stop questioning what's wrong with me. Why is this thing, whatever it is, so hard for me when it looks like Joe Schmo over there can do it so easily?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Why do I keep forgetting stuff? Or, why do I start stuff and not finish them? Or, just that the examples can go on and on and on forever, and are different for everybody. But I think there is that, we grow up with people expecting us to be able to do things that can be challenging.
Yeah.
And after a time, we start questioning ourselves.
Yeah.
What's wrong?
I,
Why?
I guess I needed to have, I need to have the diagnosis, because otherwise I would still be challenging myself to go to work, or to, to have a social life, because I still forget. I still forget to this day what my difficulties are. I just live my life, live day by day. That's how I do it, that helps me a lot. Then I'm not, thinking myself into like anxiety, or this is going to happen, that helps me to live day by day. But I forget what my struggles are. That happens a lot. And if I had not known that I have FASD, I would be forcing myself to go to work, to study, to have a social life. And I don't have to do these things anymore. I can just focus on my family and what I like to do, because I know there's a limit to what I can learn. And I can do, there's a safe space for me to know that I have FASD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That way you quit putting so much pressure on yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It takes it reduce. Because that's one of the things when we're parenting, a child with FASD, is we need to adjust our expectations for what they're capable of. That's what you would do with any disability, is adjust your expectations around someone's capacity or capabilities. And we need to do that for ourselves as well when we're living with it. And I think, it sounds like that's what it has done for you. Is it, you now have the grace to give yourself, you can give yourself the grace that you need to live life fully at whatever level you choose to live it.
Yeah.
Instead of living by everybody's shoulds.
Yeah. That's right. And now I can explore what I want to learn in a safe space, because the other day I don't drive, for example. I don't drive a car. But the other day I was thinking to myself, if things are going like that, how they are, like, then maybe I can in the future, because that's for me. I do it at my own pace, and that's like really what made a difference for me. I just, it's not that I'm forcing myself. Okay, I have learned this, now I have to do that, and then I have learned this, and now I have to do that, and I'm not. I just kind of going with the flow, that how I feel is, and I might and that's how I've overcome a lot of things. I just also look at the past. I never thought I was going to be a mother. I never thought I was going to have a husband or get married or do things, also with the social thing. I was very afraid to, talking to you, like on this, and talking to other people. I'm very social now, actually. When I go outside, I just talk to people. I never thought I would be doing that. I was afraid going outside. I was always kind of in the house, and I've changed so much, and that's because I know that I can. Yeah, I don't have to force myself like to be like my like anybody else, like other women. And that's really nice.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
one of the things that makes you thrive, right?
Yeah.
When you said, I'm not surviving, I'm living, right?
Yeah, I'm living. Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing.
It is. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so excited for where you are in your journey. And I'm excited to see what kinds of things you'll be doing with the ALC down the road.
Yeah.
So
I hope we can kind of bring more awareness to the Netherlands, and also to what I really think it is important is that it's nothing about us without us. And people in the Netherlands, the adults with FASD, they don't get to say much. They don't get to talk. They don't get to say their experience. Just a little bit, but not enough. And it's always talk about the children with FASD, or the foster mothers, or the caregivers, how difficult their journey is raising a kid with FASD. And I think that really needs to stop. I mean, I know it's difficult. It can be challenging, of course. It is a challenge, but to put the focus on that all the time, it's going to make. I was living up. I lived in a house where people told me, like, okay, it's so difficult with you. You're so difficult. You're so difficult. When you hear that all the time, you're going to believe you're difficult. And when people tell you all the time that you can't do this, you can't do that, I have to do it for you because you're not smart. I have to protect you. Like they tell me all the time when I was little. Or the opposite. That's also not good. You have to do everything by yourself. You believe in yourself, not in a loving way, believe in yourself, but come on, just that's what I'm reading a lot about FASD and the children, like experience stories. And they come from a good intentions, like, okay, we feel you, foster mothers, caregivers, we feel you. But there are people reading that, there are children reading that. We live in a small country, and there aren't many resources. They don't speak English. They have difficulty learning the language. For them, it's very difficult. So I feel like we in the Netherlands, we have to do better and talk about our experience, what the children experience is. And of course, when you're small, you have more difficulties. But it doesn't have to be the focus. You can also learn from adults what it was like to have FASD when you were small. Because I remember, it's not that I don't remember anymore, and I can advocate. And I really have to look for people here like that are like me. I have found some that can tell what it's like for them. And that they have found a way outside of the negative thinking, the narrative, like, oh, I'm not capable of doing this, I'm not capable of doing that. They found a way. And also that want to step up and raise their voice. But yeah,
so
we're getting there.
Yeah, you started a Facebook group recently.
Yeah.
how's that going? I know it's only in Dutch, right?
Yeah, I try to translate a little bit.
How's that going? What kind of reach are you seeing? You know, you mentioned a minute ago that a lot of the moms, they don't speak English. So um
Yeah.
are you getting the reach you had hoped for with your group?
Yeah. Well, in the beginning, it was like very scary for me to start.
Mhm.
Because I really want to speak out the adults with FASD, and I really had to look where are they.
Mhm.
um, and also with the fall, it just was really anxiety for me at the beginning. But I already have more than 100 followers. I think that after I think that's really good for most almost a half a year or something.
Yeah,
uh, I
that's
started
awesome.
this thing. Yeah, so, and people, they now know who they can reach, and
Mhm.
through the FASD Warriors NL, they found me, and they're talking to me, and I have what I try to do is I want to invite other people to share their story, and if it
Mhm.
is in Dutch, I can translate it to English to
Mhm.
connect them with the rest of the world. And some stories, like for example, like the Changemakers, I am translating into Dutch so they can read about others in the Netherlands,
Mhm.
because the stories you read in the Netherlands sometimes are also focused on what we can't do.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think the focus should be more.
We lost your sound again. Mm-mm.
Oh,
There you are.
okay.
That's really weird.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you were gone
Okay.
for a second also.
Ah, well, maybe that's a hint that it's time to wrap up the episode.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
and it's been over an hour anyway. So probably not since we hit record, but yeah, I can't believe another episode is wrapping up already. I mean, time has just flown. I've really enjoyed our conversation, just like I
Yeah.
really enjoyed my conversation with you for Sip by Sip. I just enjoy spending time with you, and I admire you so much, Nury. I'm
Thank you.
grateful you could be here, and that we got through the hour without your baby needing you. That's kind of
Oh
amazing.
yeah. Oh, that was yeah.
Kudos to your other half for taking over and giving you this sacred time. So,
Yeah.
um, okay, so for everyone listening and viewing this, please go ahead, and if you're looking for a community of adults with FASD, um, pop over to Facebook and search out the group Living with FASD podcast. And once you're in the group, we can talk about the episode. You can suggest topics for the episode. You can also reach out to me at livingwithfasdpodcast@gmail.com is my email address. Um, this, just as a reminder, this is video on my YouTube channel at Patricia Casper, your FASD coach, on Spotify, and on the other podcast platforms like Audible, Stitcher, and Pocket Cast. It's audio only, but this episode will be in all those places. Um, please reach out. Tell me what you think of the episode. Tell me what you want to learn more about or talk about, and I will see if I can find the right guest to address your questions, concerns, gripes, whatever it is. And yeah, so please like and share and follow and all that good stuff. Get the word out, because, as we were talking about earlier, very few of us are officially diagnosed. And there are millions upon millions of people who don't understand that their life struggles are biologically based from prenatal brain injury from alcohol exposure. So we want to reach them. We want to give people a new set of glasses so that they can see their life with more clarity. Not that it's going to be a magic wand, but having that clarity is peace of mind. Takes all that blame and shame away. So join us next week for another candid conversation on living with FASD.
Right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.